This is the emergency broadcast of the Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast for rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes. I liked the way broadcast rhymed with podcast. I bet you didn't even expect that.
Not until I said it, no.
But it was great. This is episode number 164 of our podcast that we've been doing for about 3 years. And if you've been following along with us, then you know it is our final long-form podcast of this type. It is the final-ish episode of the show.
Until we reboot it.
Yeah, until we reboot it again and again and again ad infinitum, which is a cool phrase that I don't get to use often enough. Starting next week, new overhauled format, but we can talk more about that at the end of the show. We can go into some more wrap-up details. Fun little Easter egg. We're wearing the same shirts that we wore in our very first episode.
We actually have never taken these clothes off. We just wear other ones over these.
Well, chronologically, this is last in the timeline, but in production order, we actually filmed this second, right after the first episode in advance. We just then aired them out of order. Anyway, it's a complicated ordeal. We talk about board games on this podcast. I don't know if you knew that. And there's some news. There's some news. We're going to start with the board game news, so buckle in, folks. Or perhaps you might say, hold on to your butts.
All right.
Because we're talking about Jurassic Park, which just had a board game announcement from Mondo, the people who made The Thing. And we now know, via the Board Game Geek Twitter, that there is another Jurassic Park board game coming out this year. This one is from Ravensburger, and it is called Jurassic Park Danger. And it is strictly based on that first movie, Jurassic Park. You will have one person playing as the dinosaurs, and everyone else will be playing as the people, sort of like the Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, this is the reboot of Jurassic Park 3 board game, yeah.
The island survival game, of course, that is famous.
That we have done a video for.
Yeah, very popular game. But again, that's first movie. So this, first of all, this is weird because Ravensburger, known for the games like Tikal and others that are, I feel much more kind of the Euro side of games. Certainly,
they're not your Cryptozoic.
Yeah, I don't think, if they've done licensed properties before, it's few and far between, so that's weird. It is also being developed by a company called Forest Pruzan, something like that, and they have actually done a ton of licensed games, mostly like for younger kids kinds of games that we haven't talked about or heard of, but they did very recently work on the Harry Potter Hogwarts deck building game. So they do have that under their belt. So that's something to be said. And again, to go into a little more detail, the little that we have, one player will control the T-Rex Dilophosaurus.
So they actually said, they didn't say Velociraptor.
And Velociraptor.
Oh.
I paused because I was looking at you like, which one is that? Is that the spitting one? Okay. All right. And the rest of the team, they're trying to escape the island.
Yeah, Dilophosaurus is spitting. I was mixing up with Deinonychus, I think, is what the Velociraptors actually are. Because, like, real Velociraptors are about the size of a chicken.
Right. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what other dinosaur was in that movie. Was that the only one? Well, besides the Triceratops.
Of the ones that I think caused
predators.
A lot of problems. Yeah, the predators that we saw. Like, I mean, there's plenty more that are, like, small and in between, or just like you see in the side.
Anyway, you can see, I'll put up the picture of the board and the components they put up. It does kind of look like, it looks like a map of the park, which is what the other game looked like. The Mondo game, it sounded like, was more not quite as tied to the first movie. Maybe I'm misremembering, but it sounded a little more like, one team was the company itself. It sounded like it wasn't necessarily reliving those exact events, but maybe it is. I don't know. So, I don't know. What do you think about 2 Jurassic Park games in the same year?
It's definitely interesting. Like you said, if taking more of the company role is definitely different from this. I could see this being. I mean, after playing The Thing, I'm definitely much more excited because the game was great and the components were amazing.
Yeah.
We'll see what these two bring. The other thing to point out, though, is it's not Jurassic Park, but Dinosaur Island is, in essence, making a Jurassic Park, and that is a lot of fun.
And that just came out in the past month.
It made it, back at the end of 2017. So part of me is like, I am gonna compare it to that and be like, I love the fact that it actually has the literal Jurassic Park logo on it, but that might capture the feeling of having the park and stuff more.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because, even though, of course, people love Jeff Goldblum and the characters from the first movie, what people really love is T-Rex. So I don't feel like it has quite the same, whereas like, just first theme that came to my head, like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer game versus just a game about vampires, there's a clear demarcation of, oh, well, I love the characters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I feel like with this license, Dinosaur Island could compete a lot just because most of the franchise's strength is the dinosaurs themselves.
The big difference in the other two is the Dinosaur Island has a park. It's more of just running the park and stuff and less about the horrors of when things go wrong. Because, people get eaten in that game all the time and you're just like, I lost some money. That's like, you just shrug it off.
Right. Par for the course.
But I still want a good game. Like, I think if I were to take out the old Jurassic Park 3, Dinosaur Island board game, and Dino Island, and say, which one do you guys want to play? They're going to go towards Dinosaur Island.
I would hope so, yeah.
So, it really comes down to the game mechanics. But you're right. The problem is the T-Rex is not a copyrighted thing.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's a funny thing. Yeah, it's interesting. And it's also harder to, like, I feel like it's harder to be like, oh, you're Grant, so they don't have like special abilities. I guess like, oh, more, maybe you can track the dinosaurs.
It's not like, oh, the superhero and stuff is like, you're the quick one, you're the strong one or something.
Yeah, where there's very obvious ways to change your character plays. But 2 games in the same year, both from companies that we like and are excited to see more from, and plus you got, of course, Jurassic World 2 comes out this summer, but no game based on that movie or the last Jurassic World, which is kind of interesting. I have to imagine they're timing these releases because of that movie.
They finally learned to rein in their marketing department so they don't spoil the entire movie months in advance of products.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
No, it's not. We're going to learn before.
So look forward to that Jurassic Park game later this year.
Speaking of movies.
Yeah. Sometimes you make games based on movies. Sometimes you do it the other way around.
And sometimes they don't turn out that great. Sometimes they might turn out decently.
Sometimes we actually end the segue and get on to the next story. There's a new Clue movie coming out, they announced. Officially, they are referring to it, at least as where I've seen, as a remake. So, presumably a remake of the first Clue movie, which came out way back in the day, based on the Clue board game, which also came out way back in the day. And as you can see from the photo behind us, he looks great. They've announced Ryan Reynolds is attached to the project, as well as the writers of the Deadpool movie.
Will he also be playing Detective Pikachu in this one?
We can only hope. I can only imagine what Ryan Reynolds' agent is up to these days. And
maybe he's decided to try to take the Nick Cage approach of just saying yes to everything.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think that's probably what it is. So, Clue the movie, we've talked about board game movies in the show before, and I think everyone would agree Clue is the only good one. There's only like 5 in existence.
The only good one in terms of, you mean critic response, not money, because Battleship did make money.
Yes, good meaning good. Although I did actually love Ouija 2. And of course, there's Jumanji. We won't get into it. It's certainly one of the best ones, cult classic.
And what I'm curious about is, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it did come out back then, it actually had different endings depending on.
Yeah, it was kind of like a failed experiment where every time you saw it, there was a different ending. If you watch it now, they just show all the endings in a row. It's sort of like but this is what really happened. They do kind of a thing, which is a little more fun. But
so, do you think they're going to have something like that for this one?
Maybe. I could certainly see them doing it within the movie. I doubt they will do the thing where every time you see it, it's different.
I was thinking maybe they'd be like, this is the AMC one.
Maybe it'll be an after the credits scene. Oh, each theater is an exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh God, you just described a nightmare dystopia scenario that we already live in. The real question of this for me is,
was it Colonel Mustard?
They said it's a remake. That first movie is so, I feel like you could never make today. It doesn't really have any big stars. It's all like these great low-key comedy performers. And it's a very silly, goofy kind of a movie. very theatrical. It feels like a play. And I think if you just tried to remake that beat for beat, it would be a big disaster. I could see them making just a Clue movie, and maybe it's still funny. But I don't know. I don't think they should like really try to remake that. But then it's a fine line of, I don't know. Like, is Ryan Reynolds going to be playing like the butler? Is he going to be Tim Curry's part?
No. He actually plays as the candlestick.
Oh yeah,
this is their new twist.
He's the rope.
They're actually all the actors are playing as the murder items.
It's the Toy Story of Clue. I don't and you have seen Deadpool. I haven't watched it yet, although someday I will. So do you think that movie? That's a very like meta kind of fourth wall breaking movie.
I definitely feel. I'm confused by the Detective Pikachu one, but that's because I'm confused about them making that a movie. I definitely see this making more sense. Like, I can see him in that more comedy role as any of the male characters, just being like not as full on fourth wall breaking as Deadpool. But I think that could work here. This definitely works as a comedy with some of the characters and interactions. I don't know how close it will be like the original, because remake can mean a lot of things.
Yeah, it could.
But I definitely think comedy's the right way to go for this kind of movie. I definitely am curious if they're just going to ignore the whole multiple ending thing or do what we just said earlier. I mean, it'd sell the Blu-rays. Like, look, you can get all the Blu-rays, all the endings on the Blu-ray.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see who else is going to be in the movie.
Who would you want in the movie?
It's because it's such a... The first one had such an ensemble cast. That's part of what kind of worries me. Tim Curry would be great, but I think he's not doing so great these days. The first movie, like I said, didn't really have a star. It was really an ensemble. I mean, Tim Curry, but like he didn't like really dominate. Everyone kind of had equal share. Ryan Reynolds is a big name, so I want them to have people. I want it to be like the Ocean's 11 of comedy casts, or what's like a comedy movie? I guess like a lot of Judd Apatow type of movies where they have a bunch of those.
Didn't they change the cast of Clue? Like, didn't we do a story about that? How there's now the white isn't the maid, it's like a scientist or something, like it's Orchid or
there's
something?
Like different versions, I don't know. They introduced like an Asian version of the character, I think was one thing, but...
So, are they going to do that then?
Yeah, they don't even know they haven't played the game in 20 years, they don't know there's differences. Anyway, Clue.
Someone brought their old copy from like 50 years ago.
Yeah, probably. I think that's what happened. Maybe they don't even know it's a game. They just think they're remaking this movie. We'll find out. There's no date for that yet or anything, but Clue, that's fun. It's a fun story. All right, how about Kickstarters? Kickstarter Pickstarters for this week. Some real fun, good ones, I think. We'll kick us off with one that was on our most anticipated games list for this year.
Yes, it's finally here, Rambo from Everything Epic Games. We talked about this before in our video you mentioned, as well as we actually got to preview at Gen Con. This is based off the classic Rambo movies. You will be playing as Rambo and other characters going through missions. It has this really cool stealth aspect we liked. About like making sound, and enemies will come towards that sound, so you can actually use that to your advantage, not as simple as some of the other games where you just get punished right away, which definitely brings that cool military. It pulls from a lot of different series. You can take a look because of expansions, stretch goals, all these great minis. I mean, if you like Rambo, this is definitely something you really should look at.
I'm curious, as long as we're talking about movies, are you a Rambo fan? Have you seen any of the Rambo movies?
I actually haven't. I know, let everyone hate on me. I'm a terrible movie person.
Nah, I mean, who cares? I've seen the first one, the original, which I think is pretty good, and I've just never really had any desire to watch the other ones. From what I've heard, the first one is very kind of dramatic and serious, and I think they become a little campier and a little more action heavy, as opposed to the first one is more like just like a Vietnam War drama, kind of. But yeah, I don't know. But it looks, as people who aren't big Rambo fans, we are big Everything Epic fans, and it does look really cool for that.
I mean, they do hit it out of the park most of the time for us, so yeah. I'm definitely excited.
If you're a Rambo fan, let us know how you feel. Is it true to the nature of the films? I don't know. That one's for $60 for the core box. I think there's also an expansion add-on you can get, a bunch of other stuff.
A lot of stuff. Like I said, take a look.
Big old stuff. All right. Now, the next game is called U-Boot. And this is a game based on World War II German submarines, not based on the movie Das Boot, but that's another classic.
Are we just going to try to tie movie into everything now?
Now we are. It's been written and it will be done. So the way I would pitch this game, it kind of looks like a cross between Captain Sonar and XCOM. So it's fully cooperative. Everybody's on one submarine working together. There's this really crazy 3D model of a submarine. It kind of looks like one of those cardboard 3D puzzles they used to make back in the day. And you have little figures that are moving between the stations. And everybody has a different role. You could be the captain or the navigator, what have you. And everybody has kind of their own little individual worker placement where you each have your own crew you're managing. And depending on where they are, they can do different actions. The navigator, charts your course. Engineers working on the mechanics. Like XCOM, very specialized roles. And like XCOM, there's an app. And one guy is managing the app, which has a bunch of stuff going on, including 3D renderings of where you're like looking through a periscope and your gyroscope looking around, and there's enemy AI and background music and all kinds of stuff incorporated in that. Looks really cool. My one little quibble is I'm sure it's not finalized, but from what they showed of the app, it does look kind of has this old 90s PC game looking feel to it. It doesn't look real appealing and slick, so I kind of hope that there's more that they're not showing, they're not finished with yet, that makes that look cooler. But other than that, the game looks pretty neat. If you like submarines and that kind of history, it goes for $90. It's a big old 3D cardboard submarine thing. That's U-Boot. Mm-hmm. All right. Now we got an expansion.
Yep.
For Valeria Card Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Shadow Veil.
Yes, this brings a whole new other grouping of monsters, plenty of new monsters, heroes, other stuff. I enjoy this a lot for games particularly like Valeria. Legendary is also like this, where there's sort of lots of groups, and each game you can choose which groups you want, whether you just want to try new ones, whether you want to really be this is the very offensive group of people and stuff. So it's always fun to get these new things. Plus, they come with dividers and fit really nicely in there.
For people who don't know Valeria Card Kingdoms.
Oh, right.
What's that?
It is a dice building engine game where you will be actually using getting characters who will give you rewards on either your turn or your opponent's turns whenever the dice are rolled. So pretty much choosing which cards. But there's more than in the base. I think it only comes. I can't remember if the base comes with more because I pretty much got everything at once. Mm. But you can get more groups, so you might play with different groups that might make more offense or more magic. And so you can really customize your games to fit how you want each game to play out.
Yep.
In addition, this actually comes with a new thing called artifacts. So you get an artifact to start with, or relic, I think, actually, is the word. And they might give you things like, I think the one was, you may, for an action, gain a shield and attack a monster. So it might sort of bend you which way you want to try to build your team, your engine.
That's cool. It's always nice sometimes to have one of those, help you figure out what your opening strategy might be before the game starts. Valeria, we're fans of Card Kingdoms, and this new expansion is $24. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that there's an option to buy the base as well included in this.
Oh, there's all this fun stuff.
Yeah, so you can look out for that, Valeria Card Kingdoms Shadow Veil. Finally, this one I just thought was really cool. It's the Tokaido art book. Did you happen to catch this one?
I did.
You did. So Tokaido is a game that we've played and enjoyed, and it's got a lot of very beautiful, Japanese-inspired Zen-looking artwork of animals and nature.
In essence, the point of the game is to have, I want to say, the best trip.
Yeah, the best
as you travel
vacation.
From Tokyo to Edo, or the other way around, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And do that, you'll be stopping at hot springs, making art, getting food, and there's a lot of beautiful art throughout the entire game. And this book is showcasing it all.
Yeah, this was actually, they had released it as a PDF for backers of a previous campaign, and people just really wanted a physical version. So they're making it, and I think it's great. I would love it. I would love to see more board games follow suit. I think Kickstarter is a great place because this is definitely more of a niche thing.
I will say that I looked at it, and they have some pledge levels that include pieces for a game. You can get exclusive characters to use in the game.
That's always a good perk. The book itself, it's hardcover. It's $43. Lots of cool stuff in there if you want to check that out. If you're a fan of the game, or even if you just like cool board game art for your coffee table. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you're weird. Those are our Kickstarters.
Yes.
I hope you like them.
But let's get to games we've actually had in our hands, had a chance to play.
It's the best idea I've heard all week. First one we played is hot off the presses, people. We've talked about it before. You know what it is. Rising Sun.
Yes, if you follow our Instagram, you would have seen that we recently just received this only not even a week ago.
Yeah, we're really on top of things over here. From Simon, Eric M. Lang designed game. It is, let's see, a territory control battle game. Yeah, there's some negotiation involved. There's some there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things involved. Anyway, it's based on this Japanese mythology, and you are taking on different groups, and you can summon monsters, and you're moving around a board, fighting, combating. Those are the same thing. Actually, the way it works is you pass around 4 tiles. In our game, there were tiles. I don't know if your version is special.
It's little cardboard things, but in essence, they're still tiles.
Yeah, we had nice mahjong pieces. It was great. Be jealous. And each one has an action on it, and you choose one, and then pass it to the next player, and they get a new one, and so you always have 4 to pick from. And different things can happen, but they affect everybody at the table. So maybe everybody gets to move, maybe everybody gets to buy a card, but if you're the person who played it, you also get a little bonus perk. So you want to decide, what do I really want to do right now for me versus what should I do at a later time? What do I think everyone else is going to do? And then there's the alliance thing, which is you can be allied with a person for each round.
Which means they'll also get that boon from playing the card, which means you're helping them, but when they play theirs, they can help you. Unless, of course, they break the alliance, which becomes a very give and take in knowing who's at your table.
Yeah, there's some, and you could even betray someone and not hurt them that much. And then if you do betray them, you lose honor. So there's this honor system, which is essentially your tiebreaker, which actually comes into play a lot. There tend to be a lot of ties in the combat phase of the game, so the honor system is pretty important, as well as there's kind of this bidding mechanic.
Yes, in battle there's actually 4, I believe 4.
Oh yeah, there's 2. I was talking about the gods at the top. So it's a second.
There's so many ways where a lot of places where you either are going to win by one or you're going to tie. Yeah. So it turns out honor becomes really important. And in addition, you can also pray to gods for benefits. But then after you play all your cards and abilities, in essence, these sort of gaining resources, we'll say, round, there's the battle phase. Now, battles will happen in certain territories for each round, depending on what tiles reveal in the territorial battle. And in that phase, though, it's not simple, who has more forces, I win. There's actually different choices of either killing all your units for honor, trying to capture your opponent's units, similar to Cry Havoc is what you thought of.
In general, the whole combat system reminded me.
Getting reinforcements, and then getting points for writing poems about the war. And because of that, it's not a simple strength. You have to think, well, he might just kill all his units, which means nothing's going to happen. He gets a lot of points.
Yeah, so the way it works, you have coins, and you place them secretly into whichever of those slots you want, and then reveal, and whoever has the most does that action successfully.
Or wins the tie, which once again becomes very important. So it becomes a lot of looking at the opponents there, and it's usually, a lot of times, could be like a 3 of battle, not just a 1v1. So you have to look at everyone, how much money they have, and be like, can I get away with this? Can I do this? And
those battles can be exciting and really fun to watch, even if you're not a part of them. Sometimes more so if you're not a part of them. So we already had played a little bit of this at Gen Con. This was our first full game. We played it with a full host of 6 players.
Yes, which you can only do with the expansions.
Right, so that was definitely a big difference from when we initially tried it with, I think it was just 3. Again, there's a lot. This was a real roller coaster of a game. there was definitely one of those games where I think we all felt as a group that we needed a little more time to get a handle on what the strategies were, how to play, more importantly, how to thwart people who were doing well. There were some crazy leads that then got taken back, and then new crazy leads that took over again.
No, some of the issues are, one, it's definitely, we dealt the clans randomly, and I know now I got the clan that was not meant for me.
Right.
So that was a thing. The other thing is we are not talkative. We're all very shy, which is great for the one player who can take advantage. of the field. Like, this game should be
shy.
There should be a lot more bribing. There should be, I'll pay you 2 coins for you not to fight and
Well,
stuff.
it's interesting.
This.
You say should. I don't know that I think I think it can work either way.
No, it can, but I feel like I'd like to see that more. I wish more people took advantage of that.
I mean, I don't know how much they stress that in the rules themselves, but certainly, I mean, I don't know. From my playing it, it wasn't like Sheriff of Nottingham where like clearly that's a core component of the game.
It's not clear, but I think that could really shake things up a bit more.
It definitely could. The alliances was something that I was really. I talked about this in our Gen Con video. You know, a lot of times in games with alliances, I'm like, I don't know if I should ever ally. It seems strange. What I realized in this game was, you really do want to every turn because getting that benefit from the actions is so important.
Well, one of the interesting things too is we play with the even number of people. Remember,
that's the other
you
thing.
can play with the odd number, which means one person can't ally.
No, it's very. One of the things I really want to do with this game is see how it works with different player counts, because it seems like that could change so much. In 6 players, like you said, everyone had a partner. It was great, but if someone was left out,
for the most part.
Yeah, at least at the start, of the round. But if someone's left out, or even if you just have 4 players, that's such a different dynamic.
Well, because what's also different is because we had 6, there are battles happening in every territory. If you have less players, not every territory may have a battle, which would make things a lot different, because then people are like, why should I invest there? Like, we just assume things are going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly was not. I had, I never have long-term strategies, but I was really going with the flow and just trying things out. I mean, my proudest moment was getting this monster that lets you steal points from people.
The Oni of Spite.
That's right. And I used it to effectively steal. We kind of had to be like 15 points.
I think 12. I think it was 12.
Yeah, 12. That sounds right. Because it couldn't have been. It had to be a
even
dominator
number
of 4. From the player who was in the lead at that time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 12, because you kept moving it back and forth, because you got a lot of the moving stuff, and you did steal once from me and one other person who's more honorable than you.
Yeah, they had to have more honor than me for me to steal from them.
Luckily,
they did.
You were near the bottom, so.
So that was fun. There's a lot of fun stuff that comes to play with those monsters and the cards you can buy that, like you said, sometimes you will want low honor. Sometimes you really don't, depending on which clan you're playing as. A lot of that, as well as the meta and the negotiation aspects. I mean, so this game took us a long time to play, but because you're always engaged, nobody at the table was bored. Nobody at the table wanted the game to end, even though it was super late and we were very tired. It was really fun.
No, I definitely want to play again. Partly because another thing is I didn't get a single monster.
That's really sad. Truly sad.
Yeah, I didn't.
I learned my biggest weaknesses were getting money. Really important to have money in this game. And then the other thing really important, figuring out how to do combat, what people are going to do on their turns. Probably the 2 most important things.
Yeah.
I was great at picking actions, though. I nailed that part. Rising Sun. So I don't know if this is out in the wild yet. Just came out of Kickstarter.
No, yeah, we're still waiting. I know I ordered one. And other people have ordered playmats, and from what I can see, I don't think they made it out yet. So, see, it's actually the board, but nice and bigger, so that would be helpful. Especially, we had one moment we had like so many figures just like.
Yeah, they can get crammed in there for those big battles, for sure.
Yeah.
Rising Sun, I definitely want to go back to it and figure out and play more, but first game definitely a success. We also played an older title, Clank, the deck building game from Renegade Game Studios. Our first time playing it.
Yep.
And of course, we're old hands at deck building games. Who isn't these days? The twist for this one is there's a board. You're all thieves trying to break into a dragon's dungeon, get an artifact, and then get out. And they're all worth points. The more expensive ones are harder to get to. Once one person either leaves or dies, gets knocked out, a countdown begins.
Oh, I didn't know the died part.
Yes, no one died before that happened. So
no one was that sad?
Once that happens, there's basically a countdown of 5 rounds. Maybe it's 6, depending. I forget exactly.
I think it's 5.
5. If you don't make it out by then, you die, you lose. Or you avoid getting a big token that gives you a much more point value.
Well, the other big thing is that each start of the round, the dragon is going to start hitting everyone for a lot.
Yeah.
Which turned out to be the downfall of two of us.
Yeah, so the way it works is certain cards will generate Clank, hence the title, which is you put your colored cube on a spot. And when the dragon attacks, you draw from a bag of everyone's cubes together, so the more Clank you make, the more likely you are to get drawn, and then you take damage. So press your luck, definitely an element here. I almost, in theme, kind of reminded me of Magic Maze, only not cooperative. Yeah, but you're breaking in, stealing something, trying to get out. Kind of had that same hectic feel, but it was like, there's a very interesting balance of, oh, that person made it out already. They have this many points. I could try to get more than them, but then I risk getting killed. Let's see. I got killed. Did you make it out?
I made it out.
You made it out.
I actually was the one who killed you.
Well, the dragon killed me.
But it was my fault, I mean. Like, literally, I played a card that made the dragon attack.
Yes, but honestly, I don't think I was getting out. I think even if you hadn't done that, I was stuck.
I didn't help.
I was stuck where I was for another round, for sure.
Yeah, no, I did not. It came very close. I actually lost to someone who didn't make it out. So they didn't get the 20-point bonus.
It was really depressing. Yeah, I missed the... I also had a card that if you get that 20-point bonus, you get another 10-point bonus.
Yeah, no.
I missed out on that.
It's definitely one I want to play more. I want to play the more advanced side. The board actually has two sides, which is interesting. I'd love to see because it's definitely interesting moving around there. And what's interesting because I remember I was building my deck. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to build it. This would be great. And someone decided to go for grab the earliest treasure and get out as quick as you can. You're just like, huh.
Yeah.
So that engine I was going to build.
Right, yeah.
I don't have as much time as I thought I did.
Yeah, and depending on who you're playing with and how conservative they play, you got to switch up those strategies. I could definitely see a game where people didn't do that, and then they thought, oh no, the person who goes for the highest points is always going to win, but then you have to compensate for that. Overall, the game, I felt it really gave me this feeling of an old school kind of game. I don't know if I can convey what I'm trying to say, but almost like a Mousetrap or like one of those, or even Clue maybe, where there's this fun kind of playful sense of adventure of going into the dungeon and getting an artifact, or like Forbidden Island kind of gives me the same feeling, even though in this game it's tokens, there aren't any minis. I get this fun feeling from collecting something, and like I have the monkey idol, and oh, I got this cool shield.
No, I definitely see what you're saying there, but the difference is in most of those, when I think of the old ones, it's more of, I roll a die.
No, I'm talking purely from the theme.
No,
and the
I know,
feel
but
of it, not the mechanics.
I mean, what this one, why it succeeds a lot more though, is usually roll a die, done, done, done. But in this, because you have the deck building game in addition, you're not only thinking, all right, move there. Now I also have 3 buying powers, so I can get this, which will help me move across icy caverns or crystal caverns, I think they are.
One of those.
No, but so you have, it gives you that just that little bit of extra that doesn't make it too boring.
I think crystal caverns would also be icy.
Maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree. Super fun. Definitely a unique version of a deck building game. They also just announced an expansion for it.
Yes.
The Mummy's Curse, something like that.
It's a new board, and I assume new cards and stuff as well.
Yeah.
If you haven't guessed, you're dealing now with a mummy instead of a
crazy,
dragon.
right? I wonder if the mummy does stuff. I don't know. So that's Clank, a really fun game. Now, it's our last episode. We've got a whole bunch of comments from the Meeple Gallery. I thought, why not just go through almost all of them?
All right. We hate you. Next. We hate you. Next.
There's so many fun things, and that's the end of our real portion of the show. But now let's just kind of hang out.
Another trot into the Meeple Gallery.
And have fun. That's right. Sure, we can trot there. Why not? Let's see. So many fun comments. Again, that Dice Masters thing. Some people took issue with how WizKids didn't necessarily say they were getting rid of the booster packs. We don't know yet. Yeah. It was vague. Whatever. Let's see.
We're going to read all of them. Yeah, we don't care about those.
Yeah, we're going to read them casually. The mouse fell off my lap. All right. Not a real mouse, a computer mouse. Let's see. There was a But they were also mad because we made some offhand reference of cards costing like $60, and they were like, no Dice Master card costs $60. All right, we don't know we're not keeping up with the meta.
I mean, yeah, I stopped, but I do remember, I think when it started, Black Widow was like 80.
I think things have changed a lot.
So I guess they did. So congratulations.
That's one of the things with, when you have a podcast where you are keeping up with everything, it's hard to specialize. So, yeah, maybe in the future we should try to, I don't know, maybe we should get special guest experts to help us with things like that. Just throwing out ideas. Let's see. Corvo Atano says I may back Hate on Kickstarter, one of our picks from last week, but Nemesis is a definite buy. Why you gotta do this to me? LOL. I'm sorry. I know our wallets are hurting too. It's really rough out there with all these games. And I'm sorry for this week as well. Hoser40K commented, appreciate your content as always. Is that dominant species I see on the shelf behind you, how often does that hit the table? Well, no. But yes.
The card game.
That's Dominant Species, the card game. The board game wouldn't fit on that shelf, I can assure you.
It used to hit a lot before.
Dominant Species is one of the earliest games that we had in our collection. Yeah, we have not played in a long time.
Yeah, it used to have more. It's just, I guess...
It's a big, heavy game.
Yeah.
And usually, often when we did play it, we didn't even finish it.
It would end usually with 2 or 3 people commanding the rest. Mostly because half of the people sort of just left and stopped caring.
And we would usually do the short game, and it'd still take 40 hours.
I did like it, though.
It's a great game. Just a tough one to convince people to get into the mood.
I love playing the reptiles.
And also, I think it's harder because it's so...
abstract?
It's
cones
weird.
Cones and cubes?
The story feels so thematic, but then when you look at the board, it's so much like math and cubes that it can be very painful. Well, the card game, by the way, probably maybe one of the worst gifts I ever got you. I think I got that for you early on for your birthday or Christmas.
No, I'm pretty sure your friendship is worse.
It was early into our board game career, and I was like, oh, we like Dominant Species, the card game. We don't play that game either. All right. Here's a comment from the Irish Potato on our Insane Clown Posse video from 2 years ago.
In recent comment.
Yep, recent comment. They said, and I quote, "There's only been T-O, in ICP." Great. What I'm trying to say is, Insane Clown Posse fans don't know how to spell or write.
That's what. Okay. I can be a little slow when it comes to word acronyms.
I think they were trying to say the number 2. Pretty sure it's a typo.
No, but the other, when you said ICP.
Oh, ICP.
Yeah, it took me a minute. I was like, what is...
Insane Clown Posse. Anyway, we don't like them. All right. Flavio Sousa, for our 2018 games video, said their choice is Rolling Bandits from Blue Orange Games. It's going to be great. I'll take your word for it.
I will say Blue Orange has really been upping their game, I feel, in the last few.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good. They got some good games. We talked about the new Transformers game from Wizards of the Coast last week.
Mm-hmm.
Tick is great. Says, I'm all for this. I'm getting tired of Magic. Also, Wizards of the Coast can do Transformers because they're both owned by Hasbro. I'm sort of amazed neither of us, maybe on a subconscious level we thought of that, but we didn't address it. Seems very obvious in hindsight.
Yeah.
Why they would have that license. Yeah. I'm Done, It's Over, however, not as enthusiastic. Doesn't have faith in Wizards of the Coast. Says Wizards of the Coast has had their hands in many TCGs over the years and pulled them all except Magic the Gathering. I've been part of the community for most of them. Duel Masters, they killed it.
I played that one.
Eye of Judgment, they killed it. No. Kaijudo, they forced out 7 to 8 sets in a little over a year, then killed it, and that's just to name a few. Yeah, they certainly don't have a great history outside of Magic of keeping these things going.
Well, let's be honest. Do many collectible card games?
That's true. That's true, but the question is,
I mean, I won't argue with him on this point.
I guess should you have faith in any new card game then?
That's the thing. I sort of don't when I hear it's a collectible card game. I sort of like, well.
Yeah, fair criticism. Philip Petrus on our last Kickstarter video said, "How did you miss Tiny Epic Zombies? I think it has more backers than hate by a lot." Well, first of all, we don't choose our picks based on backers. And second of all, we've never played any of those Tiny Epic games.
No, we haven't.
So put that on our
list of shame.
List of shame. Haven't played them. That's why not on our radar. All right. Corvo Watano again. Going through them all. Said, man, U-Boot, the one we talked about on this show, is on the will buy, how much, give now list. And that was from last week, so I think it just missed our cutoff. So let's bring it around together. Really a lot to digest here.
He actually is from the future. He saw this episode and came back.
This could be true. John Ludlow, for his 2018 anticipated games, says, don't know about my most anticipated game, but The Expanse, being taken by Green Ronin, the role-playing adaptation they're making, is very cool because I'm a huge fan of The Expanse books and TV series. It kind of goes back to the RPG roots of The Expanse, and it'll use the same system as the Dragon Age RPG, which is a very cool and simple system.
You know, speaking of two sort of comments coming together, I realized both the RPGs and Transformers card game. When we were going to go to IKEA to buy some stuff, we actually had a conversation about Transformers RPG.
We did.
And I'm curious, is there a fan-made one out there, an old one? Because we were talking about how it sounded pretty cool, some of the ideas we were talking about. So I'm just curious.
I was going to look it up right now, but you know what? Forget it. It's your guys' job. You can do it for us. Transformers role-playing game would be great. Remember when we talked about the board game Pillars of the Earth?
I do.
Yeah, based on a book.
That was also, I believe, a British TV series.
Yeah, that is true. Well, Caro Rowland commented, wow, you really need to read those books. I think of Roll for Crypt book club book reviews in our future. I think that's going to be a future video, Pillars of the Earth. Finally, last one here that I liked this one. From our top 10 games of all time video from last year. Tyler Delisle said, it's funny for how much you guys talk games with each other, how surprised by each other's picks you are, not even knowing each other's number ones. Now that I think about it, I guess I wouldn't know most of my gamer friends' favorite games either. I think I'd have good guesses though. And then he said some of his, some of the crossover, what he liked, and said nice lists, very diverse picks.
Yeah, I definitely feel, for most people, guessing if people were to make a top 10 list, even for like movies, games, one of the things, if it's just for ones you like, that list is not just going to be quality. It's going to be something, it might have an emotional attachment. So it becomes much harder because it's more of a personal thing to probably guess a number one.
Yeah. Also, your number one was a very recent game that I would not have anticipated. You have to watch the video to find out what I'm talking about, if you haven't already.
Go through all of our backlog.
There's a lot of good stuff. All right, so those are all those comments. I didn't actually read all of them, but I went through a bunch from last week. People have so much to say. So this is our final long-form podcast, final-ish episode, number 164. We made it 164 episodes. Congrats. Yep. Hands real warm.
Oh, yeah. Nice and warm for you.
Let's talk about a little bit about what the future is going to bring. Shorter form videos, faster pace. We're still going to keep up with Kickstarters. I think we're really going to try to give you more reviews specifically of games with more in-depth details. Still going to do those how to play videos for games. We're also going to try to do more kind of more off the wall, just different one-off videos of different ideas, conversations.
Maybe
about
things
board
like
games.
a book club.
Yeah, book club. Weird things like that, as well as, of course, the news. We're just going to keep bringing you news stories that we're interested in the board game world. Please let us know if you have ideas for segments you want us to see us do or discuss. I think my plan is to continue uploading them as audio versions for the time being. So if you're an audio listener, you'll actually probably get more stuff, because in the past, only our main form podcast was converted to audio. So you might be seeing even more shorter contents, kind of like more of a daily show almost.
Yeah. In addition, we're going to look into also going on Twitch for some streaming of RPG playing. Try out some more ones. Maybe come back to that one story we sort of left off.
Yeah, so definitely get ready. Go to twitch.tv/rollforcrit and follow us there, so you'll be aware when that starts happening. Hopefully very, very soon. This is officially going to be taking place a week from today. The new rollout will happen. You're going to see a lot of big changes, maybe some set changes. I don't know. I want to
Definitely some set changes, yes.
But really cool new look and feel.
We moved that figure to that shelf.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. We've done 164 of these episodes, not including, the hours and hours of other content we've done for this show. What should we talk about? Anything? Anything final to say? The one thing I also would like to find a home for, maybe at some point some kind of more like this, like what we're doing now, more of the informal kind of a chat section. We'll find some kind of an outlet for that, because that's really the one thing that I think takes a hit from getting rid of the long form, is like that in-between stories thing. But I think we'll have more room also to do that within the videos themselves, since we won't need to worry about, like on this podcast, we don't want to make it too long because we have 8 stories to get through. If it's just one story for a video, we could talk for 15 minutes instead of trying to keep it to 8 or whatever. I don't know. I think we'll have more creativity and freedom as a result of this.
When I listen to podcasts, I just tend to mute whenever you talk.
I mean, it's like in what you just did just now in real life. It frequently happens. I don't know. Board games are really good. Thank you guys for watching these videos. If you're someone who's actually watched our videos all the way through, all our podcasts, I know there's like at least 1 or 2 of you out there. I really appreciate all our friends, part of the Roll for Crit Pee-wee's Playhouse Club, Rico Cordova. Boy, now I'm going to get your names wrong. Falcon Ash K. I don't want to leave anybody off. Some of the ones that we left comments we read today, like Tick is Great, or Corvo Itano, and how many YouTube shows know their commenters' names like that? Come on. This is great. We're so in touch with our fans.
With all 4 of them?
Yeah, Hoser 40K. I'm done. It's over. I'm just naming the ones that commented today. Everyone who commented on our Conan video and our Juggalo video. All the Juggalos in the crowd. There's a lot to look forward to in the future. I'm real excited. How about you?
I mean, I'm definitely excited for these changes. We're really been working hard on making the new set, designing our new schedule and stuff, and hoping that by bringing more content, we'll be able to get some more interesting stuff out there, as well as hear more from you guys what you'd like to see. Yeah, let us know for sure. We are open to suggestions. We're taking comments right now. And to do that, you can leave a comment right down below on this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe to see the new stuff. Yeah, very important. In addition, we're in all other places. We're on Twitch, as you said earlier. We're going to be there soon. Instagram, Facebook, in the discount bin at Target. Yeah. You can't find us there, though. If you can't, you can check out rollforcrit.com, where we have already previously announced that we will be greatly scaling down and or transforming the store as it stands now, which we have hosted for the length of this entire podcast as well. So before that ends, you definitely want to go there to buy the games at big discounts right now. And after that, of course, stay tuned there to see where our videos are and all that other kind of content that we'll also be keeping at rollforcrit.com. Yeah. But until then, that's going to do it. I'm Will Keeler. I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is the Roll for Crit podcast, signing out for the final time. Ish. Ba-ba-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-na-na-na-na-na.